there's so much more management of the catering of a boat than you'd think about. And a lot of things that we take for granted on land in restaurants and cafes, around the world, they're just not available for you on a yacht. You've got what you've got. You've got to
Mm.
stock it up, and if things
Hmm.
start to go wrong on the boat, you've got to deal with it.
Hello, and we're back with episode 2 of the pod, and it's a pretty good one, if I do say so myself. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Helen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. So, Robert, as you know, one of the big growth areas for Nautilus is the large yacht sector, and we get lots of our new members every year from this booming sector. But what do
hmm
you know about the super yacht industry and what type of jobs people do?
Yes. So, I mean, I guess the super yacht industry, it's a really interesting one because, as you say, it's a new and emerging industry. It's quite different from the traditional merchant navy or traditional sort of areas of membership. There are some issues that we know that we see emerging within the super yacht industry that are a bit different maybe from traditional members issues. Things like unpaid wages, for example, is something we see in the super yacht industry, and obviously Nautilus has been involved in a lot of work around sexual assault as well at sea and within the super yacht industry. But yeah, and of course, we have some of our traditional roles, but on a much smaller. You do have your masters, you have your captains, you have your officers, your engineers, and of course all the people who help to make all the catering staff, the people that help to make the yachts run as well.
These are smaller vessels, but perhaps quite high-tech vessels.
Yeah.
They have the kind of element of supporting guests and sometimes some very wealthy guests on board. So there
Very
is an element.
luxurious, Helen, aren't they?
Very, yes, that's a very good word for it. But you have those spread of jobs between the deck crew and the engineering crew. But you also have kind of inside crew, which might be called your stews or your stewardesses, people who really they're there to take care of the guests and kind of make sure that they're having a great time in terms of perhaps food and drinks and that side of things. And then you would have your deck crew, which might be your bosun and their colleagues as well, who are helping guests enjoy water sports or physical activities or going on adventures, for example. And what other reasons do you think people might consider working on a super yacht at sea, Robert?
Yeah, well, I think what we know is that it is very well paid, Helen. I think that's one of the main motivating factors. It's very well paid, and look, the truth is, there's a lot of people, want that lifestyle. It's quite flexible work, so because the pay is very good, they can get away with only working maybe, it's seasonal work, so they can work for a part of the year. Really difficult work. I think we know that. It's tough work, but then they can have the rest. A lot of months maybe in the off season where they can get on and go about other aspects of their lives and other passions. So I think that flexible lifestyle, I think, appeals to a lot of people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that work hard, play hard type of lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah.
But according to our Maritime Barometer survey, the top 2 reasons given by members of the public for considering a career at sea are those exciting experiences, those exciting life experiences that they feel they may not get in a job ashore, and also the travel. The
hmm
opportunity to see the world. So,
Yeah.
2 really big drivers there, and of course, closely followed by number 3, which is getting paid lots of wonga.
Yeah.
No,
Who doesn't want to get paid lots of wonga?
it doesn't want lots of wonga. I'd quite like lots of wonga,
Yeah.
please. Nautilus International. But all jokes aside, there are loads of job opportunities on board yachts, as we have discussed. But one of the perhaps less well known might be that of the chef on board. I say less well known, but hugely, hugely influential and really important. Why do you think the chef is so important on board a yacht?
Well, as a man who loves my grub, I think a chef is very important wherever you go, as long as there's food. But I think it's also, Helen, isn't it, the fact that when you're out at sea, especially on the likes of yachts as well, where you might have more discerning guests, where there is an expectation of good food, and maybe being creative and being able to cater to the needs of your guests or your wealthy clients, whoever it is. Yeah, I think we can all agree chefs are pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, they're hugely important because they're feeding the guests and they're also feeding the crew who are doing those really long hours, making sure that
Exactly.
everybody has an enjoyable time. And I mean, I don't know about you, it is definitely one of my life's aspirations to have a private chef catering to my
That's
every
so
whim.
North London of you, Helen.
You can take the girl out of Darwin, but you can't take her out of North London. So, folks, on that note, today's guest knows all about what it takes to manage a busy galley on some of the world's largest super yachts. Chef Danny Davies, otherwise known as the Future Chef Project, is a super yacht chef, an author, a podcaster, a YouTuber, an educator, and a culinary consultant. I spoke with him just ahead of a stint on the World Voyager yacht and discovered how he stays fit and healthy on board whilst routinely pulling 15-hour days. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the Nautilus Pod. Today I'm with Chef Danny Davies, otherwise known as the Future Chef Project. Danny is a super yacht chef, an author, a podcaster, a YouTuber, an educator, and a culinary consultant. I mean, Danny, talk about making a girl feel like an underachiever. Nice to have you with
Yeah.
us.
Hi, nice to meet you, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, I like to get around.
You,
I like to stay busy, so done a few things.
you absolutely have. For those listeners and viewers who haven't heard of you before, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how did you become a super yacht chef?
Do you want the full story or just the whistle stop tour?
Let's have the whistle stop tour.
Okay, I started very young. I was a little bit of a troublemaker, so my mum used to take me with her to her job, which was working in a pub on a Sunday, pulling pints. And I
Nice.
quickly became the boy that would run out with the food and take the food for the lady who was cooking in the kitchen. And her health deteriorated, so she just needed me more and more and more. And I fell in love with cooking. I found my place in the world where I was wanted and needed and appreciated, and had a massive career off that. So was in the military for 10 years.
Okay.
Final year, I cooked for Prince Harry and Prince William with the Household Cavalry Regiment, which
Wow.
was, a huge honor.
Amazing.
I went off to Afghanistan with the American Army, which was interesting, different. It was pretty cool up on a mountain in the Pakistan border. And then I became a teacher and I taught for 7 years. And I taught quite a different way of kind of cooking. So I would go to the restaurants, meet the chefs, cook the dishes with them, video it, put
Yeah.
it onto a YouTube channel, and then have my students watch the dishes because they were watching YouTube on the way to school and way to college and stuff like that. So my idea was they watch my videos. And then when they get to class, they already know what to do. And it worked really well. I did it with a bunch of students that had hearing and speech problems.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of helped a lot with them being able to cook. And then we started doing it in inner city London, London Careers College, which was fantastic. And then we got into consultancy, started opening restaurants, making hotels into wedding venues. We made a bit of money from that. So my wife wanted to move out to Florida. And I needed a job where I could come in and out of the country and still get to cook some amazing food. So I looked into the super yacht industry and been about 7 years now. Quite enjoying it. Been all over the world. Been working on some really big boats and some really small ones as well. Really varied career in the industry. Been in the Med a lot, but most of my time was over in the Caribbean and the Bahamas.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm glad that was the whistle stop tour because you've done so much there. What I really loved to hear a little bit more about was that work that you did with the students when you were producing those YouTube videos, because that sounds quite innovative and ahead of its time. What kind of gave you that idea to record the videos for the students?
So we had a partnership with another college that taught students with speech and language issues, and they would come into college and do like practical lessons, like apprenticeships almost. And one of those was like they did hairdressing, they did catering, they did motor mechanics, or all different types of things. And I had them for 2 days. I had them on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And my Tuesday lesson, I would demonstrate what I was going to cook, and then on the Thursday lesson, we'd cook it. Only that doesn't work when you've got speech and language issues. There's just so much going on in their lives. They couldn't remember the information or take it in. So we came up with the idea on one of the staff meetings that we would record the videos of the dishes, and then the students would get them played to them a lot. And whenever they wanted the opportunity to see it, they'll be able to see it. So we started uploading them to YouTube, and we created an account for the students. And their support workers thought it was fantastic. We extended the time out and we'd do the videos on the Thursday. And so they had almost a whole week before the Tuesday before they cooked the dishes. And the improvement level was fantastic. You know, these kids were going from just not understanding what was going on in the classroom when they came to cooking to actually producing the dishes. And it was the first year this has ever happened for those students. And the idea just took off. It was called flipped learning. I learned it off an American teacher that was promoting at the time. So the idea is you give the student all the information for the class, let them kind of just figure it out, and then show them how to figure it out. And because you're reaffirming the information, it sinks in and works.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And I wonder if there's application to introduce a similar type of learning in the super yacht industry for yacht crew when they're going through their training.
We just watch Below Deck, right?
What not to do, perhaps?
How to get fired 101.
Exactly how to lose your certificates. But speaking of certificates, I mean, you've transitioned from, you know, pretty much a land-based career, land-based chefing, to working on super yachts. You can't just, you know, kind of do that without perhaps doing a little bit of training and get your certification. So get, you know, your kind of legal requirements to be able to work on board a yacht. Can you kind of walk us through that for people who might be interested in making that same transition?
Yeah, it's actually really hard. I was at the level of consultancy, so I was opening restaurants as my career as a chef. So, you know, figuratively speaking, I was kind of like doing really well, making a lot of money, doing really well, and then got into yachting and had to start right at the bottom. So the safety courses I had to do is called a SCTW. And I think everyone in yachting, anyone in boating has to have that kind of certificate, right? If you're doing it and making money from it. And an ENG one. So they were the two basic things. And I went off to a place down in Kent. I went once a week because I couldn't do the full weeks. I had to work as well because these things aren't that cheap. They're around £2,000 for me, I think it was. Yeah, and over a week. And you do firefighting, which is really interesting, you know, actually putting out fires, which is pretty cool. It kind of scares you a little bit when you realize that you're going to be on a big lump of stuff that burns floating in the water.
And you're responsible alongside the rest of the crew, of course.
Yeah. Also, we do like personal life-saving drills, which was fun. You go in the swimming pool and learn how to rescue each other and how to swim and how to stay together in a circle so they can rescue and find you. And then you think it's all fun, and then you're all holding hands and you're thinking, oh, I really don't want to do this in the ocean. It's a huge responsibility. And obviously in the super yacht industry, we have guests on as well. So I've done extended courses to work on big boats where I've done crowd control and management protocols like that to deal with, you know, the numbers of guests and in serious situations. My military background gave me a huge kind of bonus in that because I'm very well trained in first aid, battlefield medic. So the first aid on board for me on the SCTW was like a refresher. I'm talking to refreshers. I just did mine in December, but I wasn't able to refresh. I had to do the whole thing again.
Oh my goodness. Why?
Because it had elapsed. They only last 5 years, right?
Right.
And I've been working on yachts, and then I got a job on land, flying from New York and Florida, feeding a very rich guy into finance and stuff, which was cool. As you do. But yeah, my all my licenses, all my CTW, all elapsed, so I had to do those again.
Oh no.
The ANG one you do every year, right?
Yeah.
I think every year. So,
that's right.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun to do it all again. It hadn't changed much.
No.
But it's nice to have that camaraderie with the rest of the people on that group. So I've stayed in contact with a few of them. Just got another chef a job, actually. He's out in the Bahamas now, who I met in the group. Yeah. It's nice to see the new people coming into the industry and really enthusiastic, and the old salty sea dogs they're going, this is the last time I'm doing this.
Well, no, you can never turn your back on the sea though, can you? Once you're there, it kind of just gets you. Yeah, absolutely.
It's those sunsets and sunrises, right? I love them. I live for them.
Yeah. Well, that might be all you see though as a super yacht chef. Don't you spend a lot of time in the galley?
Yeah, they call us galley goblins. I never have a tan. Look at me. I've been out on a cruise ship for a week. We've been filming as the guest chef. So I've had the days off. I've been, you know, out on the beach doing the excursions and then cooking in the evening. So yeah, I've got a bit of a tan at the moment, but usually I'm white as a ghost.
Yeah.
Never see the daylight. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm based in London and I almost have a better tan than you. So what's going on there? It shouldn't be the case. So, but it was really interesting you talking there about, your experience of having to get trained and do all quite extensive training, really. And that you have to, if your certificates elapse, you need to do them because they only last for 5 years. That's probably not something that a lot of people are aware of if they've just come to the super yacht industry through TV programs or through social media. What
Yeah.
else do you think? Is there anything else that you think that people should be aware of if they are considering entering this industry?
Yeah, definitely. As a chef, your kind of land-based background is almost irrelevant. It's
Right.
all about sea time, and
Okay.
you're dealing with so many different, more different problems, or problems that are different
Okay.
on the ocean.
Yeah.
There's kind of getting hold of products, getting provisions on board. There's so much more management of the catering of a boat than you'd think about. And a lot of things that we take for granted on land in restaurants and cafes, around the world, they're just not available for you on a yacht. You've got what you've got. You've got to stock it up, and if things start to go wrong on the boat, you've got to deal with it. And the guests have got to have that, that 100% every time. The food's got to be perfect, and it's difficult. It really is. It's very stressful. It's long hours.
Yeah.
I've been a sole chef on 50-meter yachts for a long time, and it's just me. So you've got to wash the pots, you've got to peel the potatoes, you've got to pack it all away, you've got to get it all out again, and you've got to keep going. It's long hours, it's difficult. And I don't think a lot of people coming into the industry realize that. They see the programs like Below Deck and they think, oh, their life's going to be good. And it is good, It's, we're in beautiful locations, but the work is hard. It's long hours, and you kind of irritate each other. There's like a cabin fever that happens.
You're in
Everyone
close
gets a little bit
quarters.
stressed out. Yeah. And you don't really see that. They try and make it fun on the show, but it's not that fun in reality. We're just waiting for the guests to go off. No, we're not.
So what would an average day look like then for you as a chef on a super yacht?
So me, I'm usually up about 5:30, but I'm an early riser anyway, so I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Get up, shower, and then start breakfast. And this is like the pastries, all the bacon, all the things that I know guests are going to eat. I get that cooked. And then the crew start getting up around me. So the early girl, I shouldn't call her that really, the early stewardess would be setting up the breakfast table. We have the night guy would be finishing his shift. So he'd be rinsing the boat down, drying it off. And then as they get up, I might offer them some eggs, give them some bacon, feed them as they come through the galley, because the galley is kind of the hub of the boat. Everyone kind of gets up, gets their coffees, and has a little munch. And then my day would be...
You're also feeding the crew, right? Because some people might think it's just the guests, but it's not. It's literally everybody on board that ship.
The crew are the most important people because they eat my food every day. Guests only have for a week or two, but the food for the crew has to be, I have to keep it on point all the time because they get used to it and they start complaining.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay, so I interrupted you there. We're at the breakfast.
So then I'll start doing crew lunch, prepping that. And as I'm prepping crew lunch, I'll start getting guest orders in. So about 9-10 o'clock, the guests will start ordering hot breakfast like egg benedicts or some waffles, pretty much whatever they fancy. And I have to get that ready quickly and serve that to. By this time, the chief stew, who's up, she normally does service for the guests for breakfast. The guests get organised to see what they're going to do for the day. I'll go up after breakfast to speak to the principal and ask them about the menus. So I usually produce the menus the night before, but we take them up at breakfast and we get to talk about them. If anyone wants to change anything, what they want to have for lunch, if they're going on an excursion, or if they're not going to be on the boat for dinner or anything like that, we talk about, and I secretly celebrate if they get off. No, I would love cooking for them. It's a bit, and then get into crew dinner. So usually crew lunch goes out. Guest lunch starts getting prepared. We usually have that about 1 o'clock. Crew lunch will go out at 12. Then it's a little break for me. I usually take half an hour. I like to get some sun.
Yeah.
I like to go to the bridge and speak to the captain. Usually I hang out with him for a while, or hide in my cabin like a little goblin, and then get ready for dinner. So then it's crew dinner and then guest dinner. And guest dinner is normally quite casual. Then it starts to relax for me because I haven't got anything else to cook. I might prep my dessert for the next day. But yeah, it's a full-on day. Usually around 15 hours. Starts 5:30 in the morning, the galley by 6, finish about 9, 10, maybe 11 at night.
Wow, I'm exhausted just hearing about it. I assume that's in the peak season, so over the summer season, that would
That'd be
be,
guests. That'd be guests on. So yeah,
yeah,
we do that what 2 times a month, maybe 2 weeks out of a month.
2 weeks. All right. So would you be typically working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or are you also working even without guests on board?
Yeah, I'm just feeding the crew without guests on board, and then
Right.
there's lots of inventory to be done.
Yep.
Cleaning.
Yep.
I try not to clean as much as I can on guest trips because it takes up time. So we do all the deep cleaning when the guests are off. So they take
Yeah.
all the drip cupboards out, sort everything out. Also, there's lots of different rules for different countries of what produce and food I can take in. So, for example, we just came back from the Bahamas for a 2 week trip, and we're coming back into the US, and then the boat was going to cruise around Nantucket later on. So it has to get a different license and it has to be purged. So I had to kind of run my stocks down on the charter and then come in with like nothing and then wait for the purge to happen before I could buy new food and then start feeding the crew again. So
Wow.
it's little management things like that you've got to deal with. And you don't normally get that in a restaurant.
Yeah, you don't normally get that. And I'd never thought about that. But I guess when you mention it, I'm from Australia and I know that if you go into Australia, you can't bring any food with you and you will literally get stopped by those border police, right? And told to bin whatever you've got on you. So I can see how different countries would apply those type of laws to maritime space as well as, people coming in via airlines and other routes as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're going down all into the Caribbean, so lots of different islands, different countries. I've been in St. Bart's, which I think is French, St. Martin on the Dutch side and the French side, into the BVI's. So we've checked into a bunch of different places. And I
Yeah.
guess the US state, Florida, I know it's New York actually that are making us do it. That state want us to be purged of any fruit or vegetables or any
Yeah.
meat from those countries.
Wow.
So we had to do it.
Oh, of course, yeah. You can't say no to the state regulators, can you? They won't be letting
Not
your
if we want to, not if we want a cruising license.
exactly, exactly. Okay, so I mean, it's full on work. This is not for the faint-hearted, right? How does a land-based chef get into it? Do you need to be some type of celebrity chef? Do you need to be, have worked in a Michelin star restaurant? What's the kind of bar or what's the litmus test to be a good super yacht chef?
Well, it's interesting because there's so many different boats.
Yeah.
You could be fresh from college, get on a boat as maybe a chef stew, with 4 crew, and have a good career and make lots of money. Or if
Hmm.
you wanted to get into the big boys, the 100 meter pluses with 3 or 4 different chefs in the kitchen, then you'd need some Michelin star experience. And then there's a
Wow.
big chunk in the middle where it's like 40 meters to kind of 60-meter boats. That's the main majority of charter boats at the moment. And those chefs are again from all over. Um, I think you need to have a solid background in lots of dishes. You need to be able to bake bread. You need to be able to make pastries. You need to be able to make dessert. You also need to be very wise in looking after your stores and using up your produce in a way that maximizes its freshness. So you're not putting on delicate salads at the end of your trip. You've got those all at the start because your lettuces aren't going to last. You got to have a mind for thinking, logistics. It's difficult, it's hard, but it's not impossible. It's really hard to break into the industry because captains don't want to employ chefs without sea time. So
Right.
you have to take the low paid jobs to start off with and then work up.
Right.
But
Because I guess it's a
it
risk,
really
right?
pays.
It's a
Yeah, it
risk for,
is, but
yeah.
it rewards a lot. It pays maybe 2 or 3 times as much as I would in a restaurant.
Stop. Really? That
Yeah.
much?
Yeah, it's very lucrative. I think chef, engineer, and captain are the 3 highest paid on boats and
And
on
is
super yachts.
and is that outside of any bonuses you get? So just your basic salary would be 2 or 3 times what you get in a land-based restaurant?
No, I'd include my tips in that because the tips are very, very generous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the attraction for many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It attracted me.
Yeah.
I've not left. I quite like it.
There's no harm in that whatsoever.
And
We're
there's a boat for everybody. If you
yeah.
can get in, there's a program that will suit you and suit your
Okay.
lifestyle. Some people
Okay.
like to travel the world, and there's those boats. And there's ones that just sit in Florida and run to the Bahamas every weekend. There's those boats too.
I want to ask you about that kind of attitude that you might need to have as a chef. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Somebody who is quite organized, who is good with logistics, willing to put in the long hours. What type of kind of personality or life outlook do you think you would benefit from as a super yacht chef?
I think one of longevity. You get a lot
Mm,
of chefs in this industry that live live day by day. They get their tip money and they go out and blow it and get drunk. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people with a lot of issues on boats, which is a shame, really. And chefs seem to get the name for it, which I don't know if it's unfair, which is quite sad, really. I've taken over boats where I found bottles of, alcohol hidden around and everything, and it just doesn't work. You've got to have a strong mind. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be organized. If you're not organized, things start to fall apart quickly. And I think then chefs, or I guess people really, just start to blame other people. And on a small boat, like I said, when you've got cabin fever and people are throwing out blame, it quickly becomes not a very nice situation to be on. And you're kind of stuck because you're on the water, right?
Yeah.
There's not so many places to go. So
No.
it's difficult. You've got to have a good mindset. I like to breathe, which is always good. I meditate a little bit as well. I do this kind of countdown thing, which helps me get into like a clear headspace, and then I sit in there for like 5 minutes. And I'll do that on a break, do that after a shift. And it's just about, what's important in life. Is it that Becky spilt my coffee this morning, or this happened, what? It doesn't matter, does it? You get on with it, you get the life done. And at the end of the day, hopefully the guests leave a big tip and you can go and get drunk. No.
No, you can't. Go do some exercise.
I like to run as well. Yeah, I do. I'm joking. I'm really into my gym. So I'll run every morning about 5:30 with guests off. I'll go to the gym most afternoons as well. I like to work out hard. But then once I'm on trip, I don't really do that. Once we've got guests on, it's just all about getting the food done, really. 15 hours in the galley's a long time. And that whole time I'm baking, I'm making bread, I'm making pasta, I'm making sauces, I'm doing it. So it's just constant work.
Yeah, I really like that idea of you grounding yourself, throughout the day, to kind of maybe just shake off some of the smaller things and focus on the bigger things that you have to deal with. And it sounds like it's really important to you to maintain your physical and your mental well-being whilst working on board.
It is. It's like a little treat to myself to go to the gym, like this time is for me. And I think that's important to create those, especially through the day. Like you're saying with the having the short breaks, it just lets you reset, because it doesn't really matter, what happened, or this got spilt or that got dropped. It doesn't really matter. And in 3-4 days time, you won't even remember it, but it just plays on your mind and it ticks over while you're doing these mindless tasks. And I'm sure everyone on the boat does the same kind of thing. They're cleaning down, or they're wiping down surfaces, washing showers out. I mean, the girls on the boat work so hard, the stewardesses. They're cleaning rooms, they're doing the laundry, they're running plates, they're at the beck and call of the guests for drinks, for some of the most randomest things as well. Like, can I have a toothpick at 2:00? And you're like, what? I want new soap in my shower, or I want this. And and some of the disasters you see those rooms in the mornings and stuff, you're like, oh geez. So not everyone has an easy life on the boat. So yeah, it becomes stressful, and I think everybody needs to just kind of step back a little bit, look at the bigger picture, and say, hey, that doesn't really matter. I can work through that. I can forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Like an Italian, forget about it.
Forget about it, exactly.
Or like Elsa, let it go, let it go.
Love it. But how do you prioritize that, though? I mean, you've described these 15-hour days, and they're, as I said, they sound really quite exhausting. How can you prioritize your self-care amidst all of that?
Like I said, I get up about 5:30. I'll take a shower. And in the shower, I think about what I've got to do in the day. I try not to do that at night. I try to just switch off at night. So in the morning, I kind of run through, I've got to make this. And that allows me to prepare for the day. I go up and I either just crack straight on, or I start making a list. I usually find days I've made a list, the list just gets bigger and bigger. So it's normally something better just to get on with it. And then what I'll do is before I serve a meal, I'll have everything ready, pretty much most things cooked. That's when I'll go and take my 5 minutes, go sit down, just go breathe, maybe have a drink, just take a minute, and then come back up, serve that meal, and then I can clean down, get into the next role and do the next thing. So I always kind of make that time. I think you've got to. If you don't, the days run away with you. You're absolutely shattered. You get into bed and you're just like, oh. And then your mind starts thinking about what you've got to do the next day, the next task, the next thing. And you never sleep.
So, look, Danny, you're a vegan, if I've got that right. You're practicing vegan,
no,
or
no, I'm not.
eat? No,
okay. Yeah, a lot of people get mistaken. So
yeah.
I did this book called Vegan Plus because I was feeding this rich guy and he'd like to have plant-based food.
Yeah.
But when we did his nutrition stuff, so I did try veganism. I did go for it. But when I was working for this guy, he had a personal nutritionist and a new trainer. And he was really getting ready for triathlons. So we had like a cycle where he would bulk up, he would train hard, and then he would go into recovery phase, and then we were getting ready for the race. So we'd had to drop weight a little, but stay kind of muscle toned so that he could perform well. Because triathlon's a cycle, a run, and a swim. A swim, cycle, and then a run. That way around. And he was very, very competitive with it and could fly all over the States to do it. And so we started him on a vegan diet because that's what he wanted, mainly fish. And we started to realize that his mercury levels were quite high because we got his blood works and stuff. So we started moving him onto proteins where it was, chicken and broccoli and all these kind of things that we should be having as athletes that they tell us, right? But he didn't want that. So I had to bring in a lot of nuts, use my salads really cleverly. And he only ever wanted to have like caviar or Wagyu beef or, the best, finest salmon, because he was a very rich guy and that's what they like. Yeah. And that's where Vegan Plus came from. So it's kind of plant-based. I'm using all of the ingredients that are vegetables to fulfill your macros. So all your vitamins and minerals, very health-based. So you're getting everything the body needs, and then adding in proteins that are Wagyu beef, sushi grade tuna, caviar, all the luxury items.
But of course they're not vegan. So
is
that what it means? Vegan plus. Okay. It took me a while to catch up there. It's like, hold on.
I kind of messed up there, didn't I? I didn't make it very clear. I've been like labeled as the vegan chef. I'm like, no, I couldn't.
No, I'm not. But so I thought you were creating meals that were plant-based version of Wagyu beef, for example.
Yeah, so there is that in the book. You'll see one of the dishes is an ahi tuna dish, and I've done it with a compressed watermelon. So there is a vegan option, and then there's the protein option as well. But the proteins are all kind of caviars, expensive Wagyu beefs, like the tuna, ahi tuna, Maine lobster, so the good stuff.
Yeah, so you're giving people the options. They can go for the animal-based protein, or they have a vegan alternative.
Yeah. And I'm actually filming this afternoon, later on in Fort Lauderdale with a guy that's got a steak that's a plant-based steak. And he gave it to me a few weeks ago before I went to the Caribbean. And I thought it was really good. It's just got a really good texture. I mean, it is fake meat, so how good it is for you, I don't know.
Right.
But for those people who want to eat that kind of stuff, it's probably the best one that I've ever seen. The way it looks, the texture of it, the flavor of it, it's just fantastic. It's so close to being meat. It's very strange.
Yeah, I bet it is. I guess there is a bit of a movement away from processed foods, isn't there, and ultra processed foods. So
but some people still order it. Eh? It's
absolutely,
a popular option. And absolutely. On a yacht, I can serve everybody a fillet steak, and then the one vegan or the two vegans that are on there can't join in the fun. But with this product, I could serve it and it would look exactly the same as everyone else's. And that's kind of a nice touch. People like that, where you can kind of match everything on the table.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds absolutely amazing. So the rest of your day today is filming with this plant-based steak. What's next for you? Are you going to very much be sticking with the super yacht industry, or is there more to come for Danny Davies?
So next I fly to London to join the cruise boat again, to be the guest chef on there. After that, I've got a trial on an island in the Bahamas for a very wealthy family, so that's exciting. And then I'm working on some projects for the TV screen, but I can't really talk about them. But that's kind of all in the background. We're doing some stuff there. And I do super yacht competitions as well. So the super yacht chef competitions. So I'll be doing the Flibs one this year, one in West Palm, and hopefully one in the Bahamas as well.
And for those viewers who don't know of those competitions, what are they and why are you taking part in them?
I host them and judge them. I'm like the ringleader that gets everyone together.
Brilliant.
All the chefs that come in for the boat shows, we steal them off the boat for the afternoon. We set up in the crew lounge usually with GMT Travel, Yacht Chandlers. They usually sponsor the event, and we have fun and make some food. We did a sushi showdown last time. You can see it on my YouTube channel, Behind the Line with Chef Danny Davies. All the videos are on there for that kind of stuff. And it's fun, right? Have a little laugh and a giggle with the chefs, get them to make something, put a bit of pressure on them, and everyone gets to show off and have some fun.
That sounds brilliant. How do I take part if I'm a super yacht chef?
When we announce them, people follow my Instagram or on YouTube. We announce them, we let everybody know. We put them in all the WhatsApp groups, on all of the Facebook pages. So yeah, they're pretty out there. If you want to get involved, then you have to be at the competition on a boat. I think that's the one rule. But yeah, anyone can join in.
Well, thank you, Danny. You've been an absolute star today on the Nautilus pod. We really appreciate you speaking to us about your experience as a super yacht chef, and we hope to speak to you soon.
Thanks very much, and I'll see you later.
What a great guy. Did I mention we actually met up in London before he joined the World Voyager for that trip to Scotland and then the Arctic?
Yes, you did. And that picture went on Instagram and went viral on Instagram.
Well, it went viral in a type of way that none of my pictures ever do, because bless him, Chef Danny posted it on his own account, and he's got a lot more followers than I could ever dream to have. But yeah, I mean, what an amazing guy, and what an amazing journey as well, from working ashore to becoming, a super yacht chef. So what did you think?
Amazing. I mean, what an incredible guy, and cooking for Harry and William. I mean, that's not something that too many people can talk about. But I think there's a couple of things. I really love the quote, the galley goblins. I'd never heard that before. I thought that was quite funny, but I think the main thing that comes through, Helen, as you say, as you sort of mentioned, was those long hours, right? It's really, really difficult work, and how you keep motivated and how you stay positive. I mean, I think he did mention at one point, the cabin fever that can set in as well, and how to try to, I guess, mitigate that. I thought that was really interesting, and I think it would take a level of mental fortitude that I'm not sure everyone would have that, that ability. So fair play to him. I mean, inspirational stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can really see how living and working in that environment could really become a very pressurized situation quite quickly if it's not going well or people aren't communicating well. And I think you're right. Danny really comes across as somebody with a really positive attitude, and a really good approach to life. I know he takes his personal fitness and his own health quite seriously, doesn't he? And that's physical health and mental health as well. And I think that's something really important for anybody considering working in super yachts or at sea at all, that you have to really try hard to get a work-life balance, because there's really long hours at sea and you're under a lot of pressure.
And again, we talk about it a lot, Helen, but it is, again, the sacrifices that people that work at sea make, and okay, yes, I guess you could say that in the super yacht sector, the sacrifices are in return for the good salary. But again, it's not easy, and it's not easy working all those long hours. I think the other thing that might be surprising to people, Helen, was the training bit. I think a lot of people maybe think that chefs, well, of course they will have, health and safety training like everyone, but even like the life-saving training and what to do in those emergency situations, I think that might surprise some people, that even the chefs on board these vessels, if crisis does hit, they are also responsible. And I think that was quite interesting as well. Maybe people wouldn't necessarily think that from a chef, that maybe they think that more from like the officers or, the people who are trained seafarers. But even the chefs have to be ready for those emergency situations.
Well, even the chefs are trained seafarers, aren't they? Because they've gone through the basic STCW training that everybody needs to do before they get their license to go to sea. So yeah, I think that was really, really quite interesting to hear, and also quite revealing to hear about the cost of keeping up with that training, and the fact that you have to renew it at least every 5 years, which for some people will be a barrier to either remaining in the industry or entering the industry in the first place. So that goes back to one of our key kind of campaigning things that we campaign on behalf of members, is to ensure that they have access to bursaries or other types of financial support to get them through that training.
And to stay in the industry, because we know, we don't want to lose really highly skilled trained people in the industry, and making those, the likes of that training accessible is really important. But I'll just one final thing, Helen, if I can say, I really want to try this plant-based steak. I am a carnivore for my sins. I know that we should look towards more vegetarianism, or what they call flexitarianism, in our diets. But if they can come up with a plant-based alternative to steak that tastes just as good, listen, I'm all for it.
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that because, as you know, I've been exploring more plant-based foods recently and big fan of tofu over here. So if we can get you closer to the side of the angels, then that can only be a good thing, Robert.
Listen, as long as the steak doesn't taste like tofu, then we're heading in the right direction.
There's a place for all tastes in this world, isn't there, Robert? But it was an absolute pleasure speaking with Danny and meeting with him as well. He really is an inspiration and somebody that our viewers and our listeners should definitely follow if you have a love for food and an interest in yachting. So we will, of course, put all of his details of his socials into the show notes below. We'll add to that links to the Maritime Barometer survey, which we mentioned, and of course, all the ways that you can and should become a member of a maritime trade union like Nautilus International. So Robert, thanks again and see you soon.
Thanks, Helen. See you later.